All right. Welcome, everyone, to the 845 Works. My name is Hyro. This is a new channel, new project that I'm going to be starting. But the point in this video for today is tips and tricks for new beginner riders. Riders who might be, people who might be thinking about getting into motorcycling who are on the fence, or people who are just genuinely curious about the whole thing. There's other longer, more comprehensive videos out there that cover the same topic of the beginner guides. But this, after 5 years of riding, I just want to add on a little more. So if you learn one thing new or take one thing away from this, then I think that's a success. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Motorcycle Safety Foundation course. This is a beginner's course. It might be named differently depending on your area. But the gist of it is it's a 2.5 day course. It's geared for riders who have never even sat on a motorcycle, people who want to learn to ride. Very comprehensive course. It teaches you the rules of the road, and from the first day, you're going to literally be riding. It's so fun, and you get so much knowledge out of it. Also, if you do complete this course, it it's kind of like a waiver, or it makes your insurance go down, which is never a bad thing. Yeah, it's just so helpful. And one of the things this course taught, among many other things, is swerving, getting out of danger. Um, I think back to maybe it was like a year or two ago. I was riding back from work and I was taking the back roads, and suddenly this car just stops in front of me, like just dead stopped. For that second, I was looking to my left, and then I looked back in front, and it just like I hit the brakes and then swerved to the right shoulder. Everything was good, and I literally thank that back to the knowledge at the MSF course, because that's what we were doing time and time again. Just this repetitive action that gets ingrained into you, where it all becomes natural. Uh, like just that alone, it's makes you a true believer in the course. And also for folks who are like your first season of riding, and then it's winter. It's just thawing out right now too. So one of the things that I and a lot of folks do is you go back to the MSF training. So whether that's putting cones out there in a parking lot, doing like the same maneuvers, doing the same practices, the U-turns, the swerving out of harm's way, these things can like really, just doing the basics can really save your ass. Whether that's from going down or something, or like doing something embarrassing at like a stoplight, or like at a random intersection at the street. Just practicing the basics is really key. And one other thing I want to add about the MSF course, if you're like on the fence like me, to be honest, I knew I wanted to ride, but I didn't know how serious I was about it. So I took the course, and after completing it, I just fell in love with motorcycle riding. And that course really helped me like cement my love for it and continue. It's like, yes, this is what I want to do. I want to get a motorcycle. I want to do the next steps. And if you're like on the fence about it and you complete the course and it's not for you, that's okay. Like it, you got to do the things that you love. So, worst case, you do the course, you find out it's not for you, and you have a new skill to talk about at like a party. It's like, oh yeah, I know how to ride motorcycles. It's like, what? So that's the worst case scenario. But yeah, one thing that they emphasize also there is the safety. So you're gonna be all right. Just listen to the instructors, pay attention, and just have fun. Because honestly, it's just such a fun 2.5 days. So once you complete that course, the next step is getting the motorcycle. My advice is get the bike that you want. Uh, I personally would not get like a super fast bike. especially for new riders. This is actually like my first motorcycle. It's a Yamaha Bolt R Spec, and I'm mainly going to be talking about cruisers because that's what I'm like way more knowledgeable in. And it's got like just under 1,000 cc's, like 942 or something, and it was just perfect. I didn't really outgrow it for a couple years, and it was just perfect to begin with. And another thing is like once you know what bike you want, go to the shop and just put your leg over it, man, because it's really going to cement that feeling. And if you feel a little overwhelmed, you're like, oh, this is like way bigger than what I was used to at the MSF course. That's okay. You learn, you grow into it. It's all a learning experience. So my advice for that first bike is maybe start off with something not too fast. It's you get more from learning on something slower than something faster. That limit is easier to obtain. It's like driving cars, I would say. Just the limit on a slower car is easier to obtain than the limit on like a fast car. So yeah, my that piece of advice, just solidifying, is get the bike that you want, not the bike that other people want you to get. Another piece of advice is work on your motorcycle. I got this piece of advice from a friend of mine, Doc, and he says that he begins with learning to work on your motorcycle can be scary at first, but when you do it, it gives you confidence in yourself and your motorcycle. And I fully agree on that. It's pretty simple and straightforward for most motorcycles. Changing the oil, changing the spark plugs, topping off brake fluid, like just the main essential things. Like thankfully, YouTube and Google is out there to help your ass, and it helped my ass a lot. But one thing that I also want to add on to it is I highly recommend getting the owner's manual for your motorcycle. I have a Harley Sportster 2005 1200, and I thought, maybe I was going to get away with it because of Google and YouTube. Uh, quickly changed when I had to change the forks, and I took out the front wheel, and just like all the pieces that were like together just dropped, and I didn't know how to put it back or what order. Google didn't really help me, so I thankfully had the owner's manual, and that came in handy. So I definitely advise people, if you get a motorcycle, get that owner's manual. It'll tell you what type of fluid it needs. It'll tell you um, what you can and cannot put in it. So highly recommend that. And one other thing, so my motorcycle has like extended handlebars, extended wiring. That was done, I think, the first year of ownership. And to be honest, I had confidence in doing the oil, but I didn't have confidence in doing that. It's okay to know when that's your limit, or you're like, I wouldn't even know where to start. Now things are a little differently, but before then, I didn't have the knowledge and I didn't have the confidence. So it's okay if you go to like a local shop and have like these things done to your motorcycle that you want, the way you want your vision to come out. It's okay. It's completely okay to know when you need help. For example, something else I'm going to cover in this channel is the chopper scene, the motorcycle chopper scene here in the Hudson Valley of New York. Like, if you're building a chopper, you might be able to, if you know how to weld, get that part. But like for me, I wouldn't even trust myself with paint. I would go to someone. I would go to like, one of the homies or one of the local shops here, or one of my like local friends, people who have done this stuff before. It That's the beautiful part about this motorcycle community, is we're all here to help each other. And it's like that old saying, it's sometimes it takes a village, and that's what you see in the motorcycle community. Yeah. Something else I also want to cover is group riding. Doc also emphasized this, that go out to those group rides, go out to those bike nights. That the community can be great. And yeah, I highly recommend doing that, going out to these bike nights and meeting new people, meeting people who have like that same interest as you. But before you do that, I get comfortable with your motorcycle, get comfortable, with it becoming natural to you. For example, when you do like a group ride and you're like two abreast on the road, you really want to make sure you have your your shit down, because God forbid you go down because of a mistake that you made or something like that. There's also that possibility, because you guys are riding so close with one another, and people are probably like riding behind you or in front of you, that something that you did by accident can like accidentally hurt someone else, and something that was unintentional. So, just feel comfortable with your motorcycle before you go out to those group rides. And something else that I want to emphasize is, you know, it's okay if it takes you a while to find like that right group of friends, that, your core group. For me, it took like 5 years to find like the right group of friends and homies that share the same, for example, like views I do, that share the same like love for like the chopper scene, who just really encapsulate everything that I think is like positive in the motorcycling world. You know, if you don't be pressured to join a group that you might like, the only thing that you have in common is that you both ride cruisers and you're from the same area. That's not really sustainable. Even if it takes time, just get out there, meet folks, and eventually you'll find your group. All right. So the next part of this video is just like Q&As. I wanted to ask folks who have been riding for tips, and people who've never been on a motorcycle, like ask them if they have any questions about motorcycle riding. I feel like these kinds of questions would be very useful to beginner riders and people who might be on the fence, etc. The first question asks, how comfortable is it actually? My shoulder is messed up sometimes. Do your arms ever get sore from riding? So short answer is yeah, but like it depends. Like after 2 hours of riding, you'll start to feel sore, probably like with anything, but it all really depends on your handlebars and your seat. I think those two things make like the world of difference. For example, when I first got this Yamaha, the seat it came with was pretty uncomfortable, and when you opened up the throttle, you would kind of slide back. This seat that I have, the Saddleman, is just it's more comfy, and you feel secure. The same for the handlebars, which I'll show in a minute. It used to have these low-hanging drag bars, so you almost had to like lean forward to ride a motorcycle, and that was uncomfortable. Like after 20 minutes, like you were like dying. So I got the 12-inch mini apes, and it just feels a hell of a lot better. The way I kind of I I equate it, or I've seen it equate to, is when you're driving like on a long stretch of road for a while, and you just kind of find yourself putting your hand on top of the wheel, and it just feels comfier. It's kind of the same premise, with the bars being so low like that, like you were leaning. But with the mini apes, it just feels like you're almost doing that same motion, like you're in this comfortable position. It's easier to control the motorcycle, and you can ride longer because it's a lot more comfortable. So for those long rides, the seat and handlebars make a huge difference. Another question is, how is it passing or pulling up to another rider? So it's cool. There's like this sense in camaraderie, whenever you pull up to a motorcycle. Like even like if like I'm riding a cruiser and I pull up to a sport bike, we're both like, like nice bike. It's fairly positive. There's this camaraderie that you share with that person that like you don't share with other people on the road. You know that like it's dangerous and it's something you respect. So when you see someone else doing it, it gives you like this almost like bond. And yeah, you just want to, wish them the best, make sure they get home safe, make sure they get to their families or where they need to be, because like I said, it's a dangerous thing. And when you're riding motorcycles, you're the most in the moment person on the road. Like, this, how many people are on their phones, how many people are texting, how many people are looking down, like when the light turns green, and it takes them like a whole 2 seconds to actually like um, notice and then keep driving. So, there's that camaraderie that you share and that safety that you wish for one another. That's pretty cool. All right. And we also have tips from Noah and Joe from Sweet Avenue Cycles. Um, and if you follow the channel, you're going to get to know these guys a lot more in depth. So some tips from Noah and Joe: be patient. Learning a new skill takes time, so be patient, with it and yourself. And when asked about like the new fear that riders have, fear, like being nervous, you should be scared and you should be nervous. The fear makes you more careful and always keeps you diligent. The crashes and falls happen when you start feeling on top of it all, under control. You start feeling yourself, and then you go down. Not saying you gotta, not saying you gotta live in fear, but know that it's dangerous and you gotta respect that. I also have some other tips from Doc. And I covered some of his tips already, but this is one of the other ones he gave me. If at any point on the ride you're scared or feel like you're in over your head, take a break. Take 30 minutes to chill and compose yourself. The biggest priority is getting where you're going safely. And I think that also goes well for when you're working on the motorcycle. There have been so many times where I've gotten frustrated, and you kind of start also thinking that like you're in over your head. Take that time to chill out. Like, go inside, just don't even like pay mind to it. Just go inside, do something completely different and come back. And a lot of the times you'll come back with like a new mindset when you'll be a lot more patient with yourself. But yeah, some last piece of advice for myself is do this because you love it, not because someone is making you or you're being pressured. Uh, like I said, you owe it to no one to feel true and real with yourself. And if it's something that you try and you don't like it, then that's completely fine, man. And if it is something that you try and you love it, then you found your new passion. Um, but another disclaimer: this channel isn't about like really how to's, or it's not geared toward how to's. It's not geared towards reviews. It's to show the motorcycle chopper scene here in the Hudson Valley of New York, with it really growing, and it's been here for a while. I personally didn't really know about it until like recently, and my aim and mission for this channel is to document that scene, to uh, document the things I would be doing and learning even if I didn't have a channel. So if you're interested in that story, subscribe, like the video. Um, and yeah, that concludes the first video of the 845 Works. My name is Hyro, and until next time, peace.